Next on Worcester News Tonight, the city is preparing to make renovations to one of their busiest streets, how neighbors are reacting. Plus, addressing a housing crisis and its impact on the economy. A state senator discusses the need for more housing in Worcester. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Anna Botari. One of Worcester's busiest roadways is set for significant renovations. The city's completed designs for a new Grafton Street, which they're hoping addresses traffic and safety concerns. Our Cam Jandro is live on Grafton Street tonight with the details. Cam?
Anna, even though the city created the designs, this is a state-led project and one they've been looking into for a few years now. Earlier today, I walked up and down Grafton Street, caught up with a few longtime residents as well as businesses, and they say this is something that couldn't have come any sooner. Headliner's Barbershop is in the heart of Worcester's Grafton Street. Barber Principe Virtues has lived in the neighborhood his whole life. He says the traffic has been a problem for years.
So what they try to do is outrun each other to get to that one lane. You understand what I'm saying? There's another school down there. There's a bus stop down there where kids cross, and these dudes are racing to get into one lane all the time.
For some pedestrians, it's nerve-wracking to even walk the street.
It gets clogged up. It's very narrow.
Nobody wants to stop for you. I mean, the street's crazy. People get hit by cars all the time. I don't know. They need more lights on the street.
Mass DOT is preparing an $8 million renovation of Grafton Street from Posner Square to Rice Square. The project includes a redesign of a rotary and resurfacing of streets and sidewalks.
Much of the improvements will deal with handicap accessibility, the continuation of a bike lane, and just basically trying to make it safer and more easier to work with.
Congestion, however, may still be a problem for the immediate future. Grafton Street's improvements will overlap the Kelly Square project, which starts in October.
That's what they are. They are growing pains. Hopefully it all works out for the better, and that the businesses they continue to thrive. And
according to Mass DOT's website, Grafton Street is one of more than 20 projects currently being designed in the city. Virtues says it's a step in the right direction for his neighborhood and the city.
It's keeping our natives happy, helping our businesses, helping our streets so we can stay safe. That's always a plus.
Now, the city and state are hoping to have the contract up for bid sometime later this year. There's no set timetable on a groundbreaking, but they're hoping it's either late 2019 or sometime in early 2020. We're live in Worcester tonight. I'm Cam Jandro. Anna, back to you.
Thanks for that report, Cam. Switching gears now, a hearing today in Boston as lawmakers on Beacon Hill are again considering what's known as a Death with Dignity bill. The legislation would legalize medical aid in dying, sometimes referred to as assisted suicide for people who are terminally ill. Opponents like Dr. Mark Rollo says there are a lot of problems with the bill. He says it's not about an individual choice, it's about state-sanctioned suicide.
What has happened in Oregon and has happened in other places that's been tried is that once you legalize physician-assisted suicide, you legalize a medical procedure. And it is a cheap medical procedure. And insurance companies, which I deal with all the time, and they deny care and they require prior authorization, they're going to seize on that, and they have seized on that and said, we're not going to pay for your expensive chemotherapy to keep you alive, but we'll pay for your suicide pills.
One speaker at the hearing who supports the bill has a progressive neuromuscular disease and says the law would have safeguards, making death an option if and when a person chooses.
That it's strict, very strict provisions will keep me completely safe and protected.
6 states currently allow medical aid in dying. Governor Charlie Baker announces Tuesday immediate funds for the MBTA to help speed up the pace of maintenance and other projects. The $50 million announcement comes in the wake of 2 derailments this month. Baker says the T will explore scheduling more aggressive and extensive evening and weekend closures to speed up infrastructure improvements. Representative Paul Frost says the Baker-Polito administration has made major changes and investments in trying to modernize the MBTA. He says it shows how they're on top of things.
Instead of just saying, well, you know, we'll have to just wait for everything to work itself out over time, they're just, you know, they're owning the situation again, they're jumping in, they're tackling it, and they're coming up with an idea to get some, you know, immediate money and resources in there so that that we can make immediate improvements to the MBTA.
The MBTA is planning to spend $8 billion over 5 years on new vehicles, tracks, signals, power systems, and maintenance facilities. Cumberland Farms has filed a lawsuit against the Board of Health in 6 Massachusetts towns. The Westboro-based convenience retailer says the communities imposed new regulations arbitrarily forcing them to stop selling many flavored tobaccos and nicotine products. Cumberland Farms says other competing businesses are allowed to sell the products in the 6 communities, which includes nearby Framingham. Their complaint says there's no public health reasoning behind the regulations. Worcester may be in the middle of a renaissance, but there's a concern the city's housing options are not growing as quickly as other development. At the meeting Tuesday, city and state leaders say there are tools available to help support housing construction for all income levels. Our Chandler Walsh explains.
The Worcester Regional Chamber of Commerce says the city is growing too fast for its available housing stock. Alex Guardiola says people are getting priced out, being forced to move elsewhere.
How do we keep everybody, housed in the city? We have to make sure that everything is at a price point that we can all afford.
Guardiola worries how the problem will affect Worcester's future.
Folks can't afford to live in the core area of Boston. We don't want that to become the future of Worcester.
Lawmakers are working on a number of bills to increase housing production, including the governor's Housing Choice Bill. Senator Brendan Creighton is chair of the state's Joint Committee on Housing. He says the state needs hundreds of thousands more units to meet demand.
With the status quo, you'll continue to see communities not building the housing they need to, sustain their local economy. I think prices will continue to rise.
Creighton says Massachusetts is one of the most expensive states to live in because it hasn't kept up with production. And the state is building half the amount of units it did 40 years ago.
Money has to be a part of it, part of the discussion, making sure that folks can afford where they're living. Certainly, it's a decision for many people, and it's horrible to say this, whether they're going to pay their rent or, buy food or go to that medical appointment.
The chamber supports the current housing bills. Guardiola says Worcester needs more housing at all income levels, especially affordable and market rate for the workforce.
I think what it will do is it'll allow new companies to come in knowing that there's a good population of workforce available for them. And it will make sure that the city continues to grow on the economic level.
When it comes to affordable housing, the Worcester Community Action Council says the demand has been constantly increasing, and they say the number of people looking for homelessness prevention funds is growing. In Worcester, Chandler Walsh, Worcester News Tonight.
Worcester police and city leaders are working to crack down on dirt bike use. They're illegal to ride on in city streets, and with the summer weather here, they appear to be back anyway. This video was taken Monday of a man riding down Shrewsbury Street. Police say in another instance, a rider nearly struck an officer while on his bike. The officer was working a detail when the dirt bike rider almost hit him. The rider is facing multiple charges, including assault and failing to stop for a police officer. Well, if you plan on traveling for the 4th of July, you should also want to plan for the traffic. AAA Northeast says they're expecting record-breaking numbers this Independence Day. They expect close to 49 million Americans will travel, which is about 2 million more than last year. According to AAA, more than 1.3 million Massachusetts residents will be getting away for the holiday. They predict the greatest amount of congestion on the roads will be Wednesday, July 3rd. Well, also ahead of the 4th of July holiday, local police departments are reminding residents fireworks are illegal in Massachusetts. But some companies who sell the products just over the state border say they benefit from the business of people buying them out of state. Our Brittany Schaefer explains.
The week before the 4th of July is busy for TNT fireworks.
Hundreds, yeah. It's very good traffic being set up right here. on a main road.
The TNT tent is located just over the border on Route 131 in Connecticut. Sales are legal here, but are illegal in Massachusetts. Worcester police say around the holiday, they receive dozens of calls for people setting off fireworks, and it's dangerous.
Pose an issue because they provide easy access for the public to just cross over the border to places like New Hampshire and Connecticut and buy them and then transport them back over. They explode and often cause injury.
We get a lot of calls about it. Again, it's generally not a top priority when we have violent things going on. And we understand people like to celebrate, but it is against the law, like I said, and anyone who decides to do that has to be careful, and they can potentially face criminal charges. We have extra officers on the road on busy days, and we respond to calls when people call in with disturbances.
The stand has been in the same location for 15 years. Operator Heidi McLaughlin says since there are no fireworks shops in Massachusetts, people crossing the border does boost their business.
I have no control over who buys. I don't card people to find out if they're from Connecticut or not, but it does help sales.
McLaughlin says sparklers are always a big seller along with their 4th of July packages. She says fireworks are a staple of any 4th of July celebration.
Get lots of colors, snaps, cracks, pops, whistles, things like that. Everyone grew up with fireworks and things that a family can do together. It's the aspect of bringing old school things to now for our kids to enjoy.
But again, here in Massachusetts, they are illegal in your backyard. According to the state fire marshal, even sparklers burn at 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Brittany Schaefer, Worcester News Tonight.
An endoscope manufacturer has moved its operation to Auburn, creating new jobs for the area. Karl Storz hosted a ribbon cutting today to celebrate their new logistics center. The company started out as a small ear, nose, and throat company and is now an international leader in reusable endoscope technology. President Charlie Wilhelm says this is a great opportunity and will bring about 200 new jobs.
We're a high-growth company. We're in the med device space. We support minimally invasive surgery, which is still a very growing area in healthcare.
The warehouse will serve as the logistics center for the United States and Canada. A former nightclub in Worcester's Canal District is set to become a new business. Mambo Drink had a history of liquor license violations and brawls outside of the club. At one point, it was put on a 6-month probation by the city's license commission. Now, in an effort to bring new light to the Water Street, Moonshiner's Country Bar will take over where Mambo Drink was. The new owner says they'll be the only country bar with live country music every weekend in Worcester. They expect to open their doors this August or September.